Hi, Gerhardt Bloom here, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So I'd like to make a persuasive argument why you need to rush out and get White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. Reading it will convince you just how deluded rich white people are, right? Rich white liberals. You see, DiAngelo explains to you that if you're white, you just can't help but be racist. Of course, she acknowledges her own racism, but unlike you, she's doing the work. Is it fair to note that in this war against racism, she's making truckloads of money race-shaming white people, many of whom aren't pampered, rich white liberals? And as you're in the bookstore, picking out your copy of White Fragility, grab Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. This will show you that being a racist is actually anti-racist. It's a very confused logic. You'll have to let Ibram X. Kendi explain to you how being an active racist is anti-racist. And Ibram X. Kendi's argument, his argument is, aren't blacks and whites equally as competent and as capable? And if you dare suggest that the negative disparities between the blacks and whites are the product of cultural commitments, single parenthood, anything other than racism, you're a racist, right? You are a racist. You have to then follow along with Ibram X. Kendi's nonsense, and you have to identify any negative disparities at all as a product of systemic racism. So math, racist because blacks have been underachieving in mathematics, school generally. SAT scores, racist. How is it that students from around the world, Asian students, African students, European students, they can come to the United States and do very well on SAT scores? In fact, Asian students are doing so well at Harvard and doing so well with their SAT scores that they're being discriminated against, actively discriminated against, because, of course, we need diversity, as though Harvard and other elite universities were petting zoos, not elite academic institutions, right? So, yeah, you need to read Ibram X. Kendi, How to Be an Anti-Racist, so you can run out and be a racist. No, you don't have to believe this nonsense. And what about the NBA and the NFL? Blacks are overrepresented. Now, I don't see the NBA or the NFL rushing out to Asian and Jewish communities and pulling people off the streets and throwing them into uniforms for the sake of diversity, equity, and inclusion. How is it that we can expect whites, Asians, blacks, what have you, to compete fairly and openly in athletics, but not in academia? This is, a shameful indictment. And why is it so many privileged white liberals support this nonsense? My best guess is that they are actually racist. They don't believe that black students can compete on an equal playing field with whites and Asian students. And by the way, Asian students are outperforming white students. So if the system was systemically racist to uphold white privilege, they weren't designed all that well, were they? Right? So I think, yes, these rich white liberals, they're racist, they're properly embarrassed by being racist, and of course they find it comforting to be told that you're a racist too. Well, I'm not a racist, and I don't buy into this nonsense. And they are wrong. I'm not racist, and I'm not doing any fucking work at all. They are simply projecting their own racism onto everybody else. Finally, just to see how hypocritical these pampered elites are, consider the Harvard admission scandal. This is when rich white liberals try to sneak their way in to elite universities, Harvard, right? Rich white liberals trying to sneak and bribe their kids into these elite universities, and all of a sudden equity, diversity, and inclusion doesn't mean a thing to them. Not even an afterthought. Their kids have connections. Their parents have money. They won't pay the price for this virtuous policy of racist exclusion against whites and against Asians. They'll get their kids into prestigious universities, and they will get great jobs because their parents have connections. Poisonous nonsense. And once again, these policies don't affect these rich, pampered white liberals. They affect honest, hardworking people of whatever color. This does not help the Black community at all. They have deep problems. They are largely self-inflicted. These are cultural problems. And no, I don't blame individual Black people living in these communities. If I grew up without a father in a community riven with gang violence, I might very well have found myself on the wrong side of prison bars, right? Shameful. We need to speak openly and honestly about what's transpiring in this company. And you want to see how stupid and ideologically diluted these leftists are, actually read How to Be an Anti-Racist and White Fragility. Poisonous nonsense, ridiculous from beginning to end. Terrible. Anyways, and while you're picking up Ibram X. Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, pick up my book, Deconstructing Social Justice, available on Amazon. I will punch through these ridiculous lies. I will give you the stats. I will give you the data. This leftist ideology is wrong, disastrously wrong. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye.